Hello, everyone. This is Cheryl Abram, Person-Centered Cyber and Ypifany. I am really excited to bring you some stuff today. As many of you who follow me and, if you're subscribed to the channel, I try to explain things in a way that's super simple, okay? Now, especially when it comes to the technical stuff. I mean, the non-technical too, but especially the technical, because number one, I'm not, really technical when it comes to cybersecurity. I'm risk management, GRC, I'm policy all day. I love writing and the images and, all that stuff, right? But I've been super interested in IP addressing and subnetting because it was so difficult, and I hate math. So you would think I would run away from something so math heavy as subnetting, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't think it needs to be this difficult, because number one, this is not a math problem. Okay, I knew that much, that it's not a math problem. So as a policy person, okay, I said, I'm going to figure this out. All right, because one thing that I am a pro at, nobody can touch me, okay, when it comes to asking questions. Nobody could touch me. So let me show you some of the things that I have found regarding IP addressing and subnetting. Now, I started, let me share my screen first before I start talking about it. Okay. So it's been a decade since I've been on StreamYard. So give me a minute here to figure out what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Now, I have a Medium subscription. Okay. So y'all go subscribe to my channel on Medium. Okay. It's called Ypifany. This is what I started writing. Is there a date on here? This had to have been like 6 months ago. Okay. An explanation of subnetting from someone who hates math. So, and I just started writing some stuff, right? It's starting with the very fundamental things, because what I know for sure is that if you can understand something at the most basic level, then the rest is gravy. Okay. And the reason why I would ask someone who's been in the profession for a minute, can you explain like what this means, or, what that means, or why this is that way? I would not get a straight answer. I would get a textbook answer, because they didn't even understand it at the fundamental level. They knew just enough to be able to get something done, but to have them really go in, down to the ground and explain what's actually happening, they couldn't do it. So this is, just some of the stuff. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm good. Like I've had to stop, because I'm like, I don't even know what other questions to ask, and I still don't get it. So this has to be like 6 months ago, right? So, and I have a whole mural page. I'm gonna take you to my mural. These two right here. This mural. This is where it really started. This was about 1.5 years ago, okay, when I started with this. Up top here, actually, let me show you. It's right here. This is my mural. I love mural. Y'all know I love mural. Okay, this mural started up here, okay, almost 2 years ago, with what is a bit, okay? On and off, 1 and 0 is how computers talk, and and this and that, and No, what is a bit? Okay, it's like me saying, what is an apple? Okay, like what is it? You know what I'm saying? So this took me a minute to like put all this together and figure. I had to go back to like 7th grade science and stuff, to really get this stuff. But this is the one. I'm not talking about bits today. What I want to talk about today is down here. Now hold on, before I get down there. How coincidental is this IPv? So, we have IPv4, okay, and IPv6. Internet Protocol version is what that's for. However, if you look, in your science books, you'll see that VALT stands for V, P means power, and I is current in apps. But apparently that has nothing to do with this acronym. So they say. Okay, now let's get down here. I have IPv stuff here too, but this is really what I want to show you down here. Now, this whole mural is super interesting, I have to tell you. You know, I just found a lot of great things. But let me give you a few nuggets that I've recently discovered. Now I know all of these terms I'm talking about, I heard these. You know, I've been reading about these, looking at these in video. Like, I know what these are, but I didn't really know what they were. Okay, I didn't really grok it. I didn't understand it in an empathic kind of way, you know, that would really allow me to just run with it. Okay, and I'm almost there. I'm almost to running with it. The most significant bit contributes the most to the overall value of the IP address. So you have an IP address right here. Okay, all right. They tell you the most significant bit is for each octet, the one furthest to the left. All right. Now, what does that mean? That means that it has the most, it gives the IP the most value. So just think money. If you have $1,000, you know, that's 1 and 3 zeros. If you're going to mess with any number in there, okay, mess with the second, third, or fourth, but don't touch that first number, okay, because that's the place value. There's a difference between face value and place value. We learned that in elementary math, right? It's the face value because the position of that number gives it its value. All right. So I would much rather, if you had to mess with the, you know, $1,000, I'd much rather you deal with the stuff after the 1, because that 1 in 1,000 is most significant. Okay. And that's what that's saying. But that's important in computers and computing, because if you change the most significant bit in an IP, okay, you could actually be changing what should have been, like if you look at the IP for the capital letter A, not the IP, the you know, if you write it in bits, if you write the letter A in bits, and if you look at that and if you change that first bit, okay, instead of getting the letter A, you could actually get like the color green or something, you know, because that's the most significant. You just mess with the whole value, you know, of that string of numbers, right? So that's why it's most significant. That's why you can't touch that, you know, when it comes to the mask and stuff. But we're going to get to that in a minute. So that's the most significant bit. Now, and another example, think January. So if I tell you January 31st at this time, okay, the most significant thing in there is January. Like whatever you do, you can do whatever. It doesn't have to be the 31st, but it has to be in January. That's the thing that can't change. That's what I'm telling you is most significant. Okay, it's almost like your last name. Okay, that's like your most significant thing. Change your first name, you know, 12 different times, right? But your last name is significant, way more significant than your first, right? Okay. There's a difference between the network address and the IP address. All right. The network address, which would be this one, you know, if you look at this total IP right here, this is the network address, 192.168.1.0. Okay. That cannot be assigned to a device. You cannot assign that because that belongs to the network. Now, what does that mean? Belongs to the network. So look at it this way, right? A network, and I've said this I understood this from the very beginning, even when people were telling me something different. All right. So we hear that the IP address is, you know, like the house and the this and that or whatever. Okay, yeah, that's fine. However, the network address is like the lot that your house is in. So if you pull up your house and all you got is that empty space, that's like the network address. Okay. Now, because I studied real estate, because I was going to get my real estate license, but it was too much studying. I had too much going on, so I stopped studying. However, I did study enough to understand that when you build a house, all you have is a lot number. And you have to at least have a portion of your, what is it, like the foundation and the driveway or something like that before it can get an address. Before that, it's just a lot. You can't have an address until you have some kind of structure there. Same thing with this. This network address, that's like a lot. That's just the net. That's just telling you the broad area where these devices can be found. Okay, you cannot assign this to a device because it doesn't belong to that. It belongs to the network that the devices are in. Okay, that was something that was clarified. You know, I had to ask 1,000 questions, but I'm like, okay, I get that. Borrowing bits means turning a bit on to extend the network mask. Now, I've heard this before, but I was like, what the heck? Borrowing bits? Like, what does that even mean? And this one right here really, like, few people know what that means, it seems like, you know. And when I finally understood, it just means you're turning it on, okay? So if you look at the host over here, like let's look at this one right here, all these are zeros, right? This is, you know, stuff the host can. When you turn it on, when you borrow a bit, you're just, I mean, when you borrow a bit, you're turning this 0 to a 1. Okay, you're turning the bit on. And now that's all it means. And when you extend, that has nothing to do with length. Okay, it doesn't have anything to do with space. I mean, it don't have nothing to do with that. All right. When you extend something, because we're speaking logically, if you look at these nested dolls, now y'all know how these work. Okay, you pull this one up, that one's in there. You pull this one up, that one's in there. This is how a network works. Like this right here is a good representation of an IP address. Okay, let's say these first, like this first one right here is the network. Okay, right there's the network. And these things back here are the devices in the network. Okay, so when you extend, when you turn that on, what you're doing is you're adding or you're reconfiguring this one. Let's say you're reconfiguring this one right here, you know, and making her into 2 of these, for instance. However, they're not going to look like all the other ones. Okay, maybe this one is going to have blonde hair, and the one right here is going to have, I don't know, blue hair or something. Okay, they're going to be different than these other ones, but you can still tell that they're part of the same family, the same network. Okay. Now I'm going to go in way more detail, you know, in my blog, and I might do another video about it. This right here, the IP address is a hierarchy. Now, this is something else that I've said, that the IP address is a hierarchy of directions. The IP is directions. Okay. The IP address is not your house. It's directions to your router. Okay, that's what it. Now I'm talking about on the internet. Okay, when you're on the internet, well, even in your private, you know, but it's easier to see, understand if I'm talking about the internet. So this first octet right here, this would be like the United States. So this 17 is going to tell the router this packet is going to the United States. Okay. This 172 is saying it's going to be in Virginia. This 224 is going to be in the county of Fairfax. And this right here is saying, okay, it's Cheryl's house. All right. And my router is going to get the packets. Okay. You see that? So it's like your phone number. Your phone number does the same thing. Okay. It's a hierarchy of locations, you know? And then in that hierarchy, am I saying that right? You have routers. So these routers up here would handle this one right there, and then they'd hand it off to these routers who would handle that one, and these routers will handle that one. Okay, now these are just some of the things. Believe me, there's other things that I discovered that I was like, you know, I get it. Like, okay, you know, I just wish I would have It would have been a lot easier to know this, in the beginning. Like, I don't know why I had to go on my own hunt, to find this stuff out, but which is fine because that's how I learn anyway. So I'm good. I'm good with that. But yeah, but there's a lot more in here, like, IP space. There is no such thing. Okay, we're not talking about space. Don't nothing happen with space. And borrowing bits. Now, I actually have a Medium article where I went into great detail about borrowing bits because it got on my nerves so bad. Okay, that folks were saying borrowing bits and not saying what the hell that meant. Okay. Now, when you extend the network mask, all that means is, like I said, it's got nothing to do with length. You don't make it longer, you don't make it bigger, you don't make it wider, like nothing like that. You're not doing that. Okay. What you're actually doing in reality, what you're doing in reality, here's my nick. What you're doing is you're using more capabilities of various devices in the computer, like your NIC card. Okay. When I extend my network mask, okay, after borrowing a bit, what I'm telling my hardware and software to do is, hey, listen, I know you're doing this thing right now, but I need you to do this extra thing. Okay. I need you to follow these other directions as well. Okay. So I'm saying that to my NIC, I'm saying it to my operating system. And guess what? I'm saying the exact same thing when I'm talking about virtualization. Because VirtualBox, VMware, virtual memory, all that stuff is telling something. Is the operating system is almost always involved in it. Okay. It's telling them to, hey, listen, I know you're doing this thing right here, but I need you to do this other thing too. Okay. So when it comes to VirtualBox, right, your hypervisor, that's your operating system, like doing a bunch of stuff. Okay. To make it appear as if you have another computer. Right. So all it's about is, because these are logical instructions, you're not downloading, hardware onto your computer. You know what I'm saying? You're not, and logical just means instructions, right? Yes. So you're just giving the computer instructions to, I know you're doing this thing, but can you do this too? Like I do with my sons. Hey, I know you clean the bathroom, but I need you to take this trash out as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and we do that too. Like, I know this is my job, but the boss is asking me to do this other thing. And that's how we extend ourselves too. Okay. That's all that's happening in the computer. Okay. They're just doing more things. Okay. Which is why when you download, when you want to download a virtual machine or something, you got to have enough CPU and RAM and all that stuff, right? Because the extra stuff is happening, extra things are happening. They're rearranging, stuff is being reconfigured. That's all it is. It's being reconfigured. Okay. It's not a big mystery. And all these terms that, aren't, really explaining what's going on. And that's where I had an issue. I had an issue with, tell me what's happening in the real world. Okay. I get all the jargon and whatever, that's fine. I need to know what's happening on the motherboard. Okay. When these things are going on. And that's what I had to find out for myself, so I had to ask the right questions. Okay. So I think that is going to be it for me today. And I will be back for some other things. I have a lot of other things to show y'all. Okay. Have a good one.